What is up, guys? We're out here in the garage on a chilly Tuesday evening, doing the first oil change on the KX450. Took her outside, warmed her up a little bit, get that oil stirred up with whatever sediments in there, whatever type of strange little metal debris are coming off that motor off of the break-in. So far, all we've done is rode it, done the heat cycles on it, got her dirty, got her scratched up. Don't have to worry about any of that crap anymore. We've drained the oil, getting ready to put some fresh stuff in there. But before we do that, we're gonna put this genuine Kawasaki oil filter in here. Should be a breeze, pretty much just like every other Kawasaki oil filter oil change I've ever done. So we'll get that done. And then maybe set the sag tonight. If I can find the shock. It's back in there somewhere. I'm sure they have assured me it's there. But yeah, 24 KX450, first oil change. Bike has, I don't know, maybe an hour on it, but I doubt that even. Back to the oil change. We are gonna put, of course, some Motor X Crosspower 4T. My favorite stuff. Been running this stuff for a long time in all my KTMs and my Cowies, and been super happy with it. So I'm not gonna change. Stick to that. This is 10 weight 50. It calls for 10 weight 40, but it's cold here in Oregon right now, so we're gonna go with 10 weight 50. Like I said, we're just gonna put another hour or two on it and then change oil again, so we'll probably drop back down. Depends on the weather. I'm perfectly comfortable running 10 weight 50 in this cold weather, so here we go. Of course, like I said earlier, I always recommend that you get that oil changed right off the bat in that first hour or so when the bike is brand new. You really don't know what they put in it. And it's really just meant to be break-in oil, just to get that bike warmed up. Let all the debris, all the crap that's gonna wear itself in on that motor, the rings are gonna seat, all that good stuff. Get that oil out of there as soon as you can. Once it's broke in, time for an oil change. We got her apart, she looks good. Fresh oil filter going in. We'll clean up the cap, make sure the spring's there, you don't want to lose that, and put her back together. Just get that far, get the cap snap back on, get the holes lined up as close as you can get them. You can kind of pop it on there with your hand. This isn't really meant to be a how-to. I don't really know why I'm going through the trouble of filming this. I probably won't even throw this in, but put these guys in. There's an O-ring in here that you can replace. It is recommended that you do. I don't claim to do it every time. O-rings are pretty resilient as long as you keep them lubed up. And yeah, I'll torque these down to spec, you know, and then yeah, put some oil in her. You'll be ready to go. And of course, I know I just said this isn't a how-to, but remember that it's the O-ring in here that does the sealing. So it's not how tight you get these. You want these snug enough so the cover doesn't fall off, so the bolts don't back out. Like I said, there's a torque spec for it. I don't know what it is right offhand. I'll check that and make sure that I put a torque wrench on it. But don't get carried away with it. If you don't have a torque wrench, you don't have to get these as tight as humanly possible, because you'll just pull the threads right out of them. Just a heads up. All right, so I put a liter of oil in there. That's the oil level right now. Cowie calls for a liter of oil. And that's a little higher than I would normally like it. I have started the bike, let it warm up, so that oil has gotten in there and mixed around. It is possible it's not sitting perfectly well on the stand, but I usually like it to be about halfway. But as long as you can see that you've got oil in the sight glass and it's not completely full, you should be pretty good. My preferred method is to just fill it up to about that halfway mark. But that being said, we should be good to go. Ready to ride. Maybe we'll ride Thanksgiving. We'll see. There is a chance for some riding at Albany MX Park. But before we get that done, need to check spokes, make sure the spokes are tight. They always loosen up the first couple of rides. And then we will go set the sag, but we may wait until tomorrow to do that because I'm freezing my butt off out here. But anyhow, garage day, just about done for today. All right, guys, garage day continued the next day. We are doing hour meters, 24 KX450. I'm gonna try for right here, just so it's kind of similar to the way the KTM set up. I like being able to look over the bars and see what's going on there. We'll try this one and see how well it works out. This is a Tusk hour meter. Yeah, I've never used one. Actually, I have one on my generator and it seems to work fine, but yeah, we'll try this and go from there. I'm gonna get the install started. This is not gonna be a how-to because I'm just kind of winging it, but how hard can it be? Right. Okay, so the hour meter is installed. Sitting right there. Ran her down here with the throttle cables. Tied her to the spark plug wire under yander somehow. I went ahead and pulled the tank just because I wanted to see how hard it was to get that thing apart, and it's definitely not as easy as the old carbureted bikes, but it's not too bad. Anyhow, we'll get her put back together and call her a day probably. All right, guys, we're back outside. It is Thanksgiving Day afternoon. We're gonna get the sag set on this thing. Of course, we have the slacker from Motul. This thing was awesome. Makes this job a lot easier, but I think we got a shot at getting in here. Actually, it's fairly clean. I think we're gonna be able to do this without too much trouble, but I'm gonna get this done and get back to you. All right, so the slacker by Motul, getting the job done, making it easy. Setting the sag on this thing isn't too bad. I'm able to get to everything I need to get to. Setting sag is always kind of a pain, but I didn't have to pull the subframe or anything, which was cool. I set it at 101, and I didn't have all my gear on. I had, you know, all the heavy stuff. So I think that we'll be right in the ballpark around that 105 mark to figure out where we want to go from there once we get some track time. Should be good. All right, guys, we got the sag set, we got the oil changed, we got the spokes checked, we've got everything we need to do on the 24 KX450. So at this point, we're gonna call this ready to ride, and Saturday is the plan. We're gonna go somewhere, riding dirt bikes. Thanks for watching.